So good morning everyone. Today let us discuss about Chinese remainder theorem. Actually what we are discussing in last class is mathematics of asymmetric cryptography. So we have discussed unit 1 in CNS, we have discussed unit 2 also in CNS. What is this mathematics of asymmetric encryption is? So in unit 1 we will see what is security, what are security goals, what are security services, what are security mechanisms. Then followed by that we need to provide security for our data. So we have some symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. As you also know the difference, symmetric encryption is using only single key, asymmetric encryption means using two different types of keys. So in second unit what we have done, we have discussed about the symmetric encryption and some symmetric algorithms like AES and DES. Now in today's class we are going to discuss asymmetric encryption. So what actually asymmetric encryption is? Using of two different keys. Then what I wanted to tell is mathematics of asymmetric encryption. So mathematics of asymmetric encryption we have to discuss, because we know what is security, we know why we should provide security, we know how we can provide security. Then we also know that we have some security threat, attack, services, mechanisms. Then to give the solution for all these things, we have decided to use some algorithms. Now, what that algorithms actually? So we have AES and AES, DES, triple DES, all these will come under symmetric encryption. Now what is asymmetric encryption? In last class we have also discussed about RSA algorithm. So this RSA algorithm will come under asymmetric encryption. So as the continuation for all these things, I wanted to tell you Chinese remainder theorem. Chinese remainder theorem is the mathematical part. This will come under mathematics of asymmetric key encryption. This is from unit 3. So this topic is from unit 3. So why this Chinese remainder theorem is used? We want to solve or we want to provide a solution for congruent equations. So if you want to provide solution for congruent equation, then we are taking the help of Chinese remainder theorem. So every theorem what it will have? Every theorem will have a statement, every theorem will have a proof followed by example. So what is the statement of Chinese remainder theorem? If you want to solve set of congruent equations with one variable and different moduli, then we are using Chinese remainder theorem. Simple. You want to solve set of congruent equations. These congruent equations will have only one variable and with different moduli. So if you see here, these are the congruent equations. X congruent to A1 mod M1, X congruent to A2 mod M2, similarly X congruent to AK mod MK. These are the congruent equations. So to solve the set of congruent equations, we are using Chinese remainder theorem. This Chinese remainder theorem is a part of unit 3 and part of mathematics of asymmetric encryption. Why I am telling you asymmetric is, we are using two different keys here. If we are using two different types of keys, which is public key and private key, then obviously it is nothing but asymmetric encryption. As I told you always, in CNS, in every unit you have the mathematics part. So in unit 3 also you have the mathematics part. So what is the mathematics part in unit 3? Which is nothing but some algorithms. About prime numbers we have to discuss. About composite numbers we have to discuss. What is Euler theorem? What is Fermat theorem? And finally what is Chinese remainder theorem? So in unit 3 we have mathematics of asymmetric encryption. In that firstly we discussed about prime numbers, composite numbers, Euler theorem, Fermat theorem, and now last topic is Chinese remainder theorem. So these and all is the related topics, related mathematics of asymmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption what we will do? We'll discuss what is a ring. In symmetric encryption in unit 2, mathematics of symmetric encryption is also to provide security only. Mathematics of asymmetric encryption is also to provide security only. So ultimately providing security for our data is the final thing. To provide security for our data, what the method we are using, that depends upon the user. If I am using single key, I'll go with symmetric encryption. If somebody else is using two different types of keys like public key and private key, they will go with asymmetric. And in future, while we discuss about unit 4 and unit 5, in future we'll get different types of methods also which are not related to symmetric and asymmetric. But ultimately CNS is playing an important role to provide the security for data. So in symmetric encryption what we have discussed, what is a ring, what is a field, what is Galois field, what are the prime numbers, what are the integers, how we can find multiplicative inverse, what are the congruent equations, all these we have done in unit 2. So now Chinese remainder theorem is also called as CRT, Chinese remainder theorem. This theorem is used to solve set of equations that equations are congruent. Half these equations will be with one variable and different moduli. Here the moduli is denoted with m. Variable is nothing but a is the variable. So you can see the variables here. See, x congruent to a1 mod m1. If this is one equation, in this equation a is the variable, m1 is the moduli. So a1 is the variable. Similarly, m1 is the moduli. So we have some congruent equations with one variable and different modulus. So to differentiate that modulus, here I am taking m1, m2 and so on mk. So variables are always common, nothing but a. So this is the statement of the Chinese remainder theorem. What is the statement of Chinese remainder theorem? To solve a set of congruent equations with one variable and different moduli, we are using Chinese remainder theorem. So what is the proof? Proof will always be in the form of steps. So how many steps we have in this algorithm? 4 different steps we have in this algorithm. So what is the first step? You will have different modulus like m1 to mk. By doing multiplication for all of them, you are confining a single moduli m. So first you are calculating the value of single moduli capital M. this single value of capital M can be computed by using m1, m2 and so on mk. So this is the first step. Then what you wanted to do, you want to find what are the different modulus like m1, m2, m3 and so on mk. So what are the different modulus you want to find? For finding the different modulus, what formula you are having? Capital M1 equal to capital M divided by small m1. So this is the formula. So what formula you have to define? M is nothing but modulus always. In first step what you are doing? You are taking all the small moduli. By doing multiplication you are finding the capital M. Now capital M modulus also will be different. So for that case, what you want to calculate? You want to calculate capital M1, capital M2, capital M3 and so on mk. So what is the formula for this? So capital M1 equal to capital M moduli by small m1. Division operation we are doing here. Division rules and division properties you already know in unit 2. So this is second step. What we are doing in third step? We are finding multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverses. So simple, all the story is around moduli only. So in the statement of the theorem we have different moduli. To support that I am telling you what are the different moduli here. So by collecting all the different modulus and performing multiplication, we got a final modulus value. So taking this final modulus value, this modulus can be also divided into parts. So we are finding the different modulus values by division operation. All these multiplicative inverses, division operations, these and all you know in unit 2. So what is the third step? When you got the different moduli values, you want to find the multiplicative inverse of that. So what is the formula for finding multiplicative inverse? We already discussed in the previous class. So in third step what I got? M1 inverse, M2 inverse and so on mk inverse. So 4 steps we have in Chinese remainder theorem. Chinese remainder theorem is used to solve congruent equations. In these equations we will have only one variable and different modulus. Here the variable is a and modulus is denoted with m. So how many variables will have from a1 to ak? How many modulus we will have from m1 to mk? So proof, what is the proof for this? We will have 4 different steps in this proof. First we are performing multiplication between modulus and generating a single modulus value, and this modulus value can be for our convenience can be divided into m1, m2 and so on mk. For that we are performing division operation like capital M divided by small m1, which is nothing but capital M1. Like and so on we will perform till mk. So what is the third step? In third step we are finding multiplicative inverses. For what you need to find multiplicative inverse? The modulus which you obtained in the second step. For that you need to find multiplicative inverses. So what is the formula to calculate multiplicative inverse and all that you have seen in the previous class. Finally, what is the value we want to compute? X value we want to compute in every equation, right? So to compute the x value we have the formula like A1 into M1 into M inverse. So we are performing multiplication there. In addition with A2 into M2 into M2 inverse. And so on till we have to find till K, right? So AK into MK inverse and finally mod M. So this is the fourth step, is the final step in this Chinese remainder theorem. In fourth step, we are actually going to find the value of x. If we compute the value of x, then this Chinese remainder theorem will be completed. So first we have to know what is the statement of Chinese remainder theorem. Then what is the proof. In proofs we have 4 steps. What are the first 3 steps? These 3 steps are used to compute the ultimate x value. So finding the ultimate x value is the final thing in this Chinese remainder theorem. So what we are using to do to compute this final x value? So A1, A2, A3 values we will get from the equations itself. Capital M1, capital M2, capital MK values we computed in step 1. So M1 inverse, M2 inverse and MK inverse we computed in third step. So what are all the values we got from first 3 steps and what are all the values we got from the congruent equations? By taking all those and substituting in this equation, we completed the Chinese remainder theorem. Now we will see an example for this. So let us see the example for Chinese remainder theorem. What are the congruent equations we have in Chinese remainder theorem? X congruent to A2 mod M2, X congruent to A3 mod M3. I mean, what are the congruent equations we have from the statement of Chinese remainder theorem is X congruent to A1 mod M1 till X congruent to AK mod MK. So in this example, I have only taken 3 congruent equations. So I am going to match with only 3 congruent equations. So see, X congruent to A1 mod M1, X congruent to A2 mod M2, X congruent to A3 mod M3. So we have taken only 3 equations. So I am comparing with only 3 equations from the statement of Chinese remainder theorem. So actually we are doing example for Chinese remainder theorem now. So to do the example for Chinese remainder theorem, we have to compare with the statement, right? So while comparing to the statement, see x a1 mod m1, x a2 mod m2, x a3 mod m3. So now what are the values of a1? A1 equal to 2. What is the value of a2? A2 equal to 3. What is the value of a3? A3 equal to 2. So by comparing the congruent equations from the Chinese remainder theorem to comparing the congruent equations with our example, we got the values of A1, A2 and A3. So A1 is 2, A2 is 3, A3 is 2. Now by comparing the same equations, what we will get? M1, M2, M3. So M1, M2, M3. So what is the value of small m1? 3. Value of small m2? 5. Value of small m3? 7. Now we have all the values. We need to compute the example by solving the step by step. So what is the first step in Chinese remainder theorem? Calculating capital M. What is the formula to calculate capital M? Small m1 into small m2 into small m3. So what is small m1? 3. Small m2? 5. Small m3? 7. By multiplying 5 into 3 into 7, 5 3s are 15, 15 into 7, 105, 15 7s, 105. So, first I have taken Chinese remainder theorem statement, then I have seen what are the steps in Chinese remainder theorem, then I am solving the example for Chinese remainder theorem. If you want to solve the examples, you want to compare the statements of Chinese remainder. You have to compare this congruent equations with the example equations. By comparing what I got A1 value, A2 value, A3 value, M1, M2 and M3 values I got. So what is the first step in our proof? You have to calculate the value of capital M. How you can calculate the value of capital M? By multiplying small m1 into small m2 into small m3. By multiplying all these things, what I got capital M equal to 105. This is the step 1. So what is the step 2? Calculating the capital M1, capital M2, capital M3 values is step 2. So all this thing is step 2. So what you wanted to do? Capital M1. Nothing but capital M divided by small m1. So capital M value we got here 105. Small m1 value we got from the equations 3. So 105 divided by 3 is 35. 105 divided by 5 is 21. 105 divided by 7 is 15. Why we are doing 105 divided by 5? Capital M value is 105. Small m2 value is 5. So 105 and divided with 5 will get 21. So same way, capital M value is 105, small m3 value is 7. When 105 divided by 7 will get 15. So step 2 also completed. What is step 3? Finding the multiplicative inverse of m1, m2 and m3. So you have to find multiplicative inverse, we have seen in the last class. By applying the same formula, if we find the multiplicative inverse, what we'll get? m1 multiplicative inverse is 2, m2 multiplicative inverse is 1, and same way m3 multiplicative inverse is 1. So how to find the multiplicative inverse, that we have seen in the last class. Using that same formula, what we are doing now? Here now we are finding the multiplicative inverse of m1 multiplicative inverse, m2 multiplicative inverse, m3 multiplicative inverse. So first I have taken the example congruent equations. I have taken the statement from Chinese remainder theorem. I have compared both the congruent equations and I have known the a1, a2, a3 and m1, m2, m3 values. Then first step I have done, that is calculating capital M1, that is 105. Second step is calculating capital M1, capital M2 and capital M3. For that also I have the formula and I have calculated and I got the values like 35, 21, 15. So what are the values of M1, M2, M3? Capital M1 equal to 35, capital M2 equal to 21, capital M3 equal to 15. So now I have small m values, capital M values, so a values I have, capital M value also I have 105. So everything I have, I need to compute M1 inverse, M2 inverse, M3 inverse. For that, for computing that, I have applied the multiplicative inverse formula, and by performing multiplicative inverse, I got M1 inverse as 2, M2 inverse as 1 and M3 inverse as also 1. Now what is the final statement of Chinese remainder theorem? You need to compute the value of x. If you find the value of x, Chinese remainder theorem will be completed. So what is the formula to compute x value? A1 into M1 into M1 inverse. All these three values we have computed just now. Same way A2, M2, M2 inverse. These also we have computed. Since we have only 3 equations, so our last thing will be A3, M3 and M3 inverse. This also we have computed now. Finally, we have mod M here. This mod capital M value also 105 we just computed now. So, finding the x value is the last step in Chinese remainder theorem. To find the x value only, we have taken all these congruent equations and we have solved. And by substituting all the values in this formula, we will get x value as 23 mod 105. By solving this, you will get the x value. So I have substituted a1, m1, m1 inverse as 2, 35 and 2. Then I have substituted a2, m2 and m2 inverse as 3, 21 and 1. Then substituting a3, m3 and m3 inverse values as 2, 15 and 1. Finally, we have mod 105. Why this 105? 105 is the value of capital M. So by substituting all these values, we can get the x value as 23 mod 105. If you people solve the 23 mod 105 using calculator, you will get the exact x value. So what we have did today, we have started the concept of mathematics of asymmetric key cryptography in unit 3. So this is the last topic in unit 3. In CNS, in every topic we will have mathematics. So obviously in third unit also we have mathematics of asymmetric encryption. In that mathematics of asymmetric encryption, we have discussed about what are the prime numbers, what are the composite numbers, how you can check the primeness of a number, then what is Euler theorem, what is Fermat rule, then what is Chinese remainder theorem. All these will come under mathematics of asymmetric cryptography. What is a prime number, what is a composite number, how to check the primality of a number, then what is Euler coefficient, then what is Fermat rule and what is Chinese remainder theorem. All these come under mathematics of asymmetric encryption, which is the last topic of unit 3. Thank you. In next class we will discuss unit 4.